And away we go.
Here's a place that makes you smile. Stick around and stay a while. We're the home of great TV. That's memorable. That's me.
Follow me, sir.
Call them classics, call them the best. Call them favorites, be our guest. Every day there's more to come. Watch and see, there's only one. Me TV.
All you have to do is watch me.
Are you kidding me?
Follow me.
That's memorable. That's me.
That's me.
Me TV.
Hi, I'm John Mallis. Welcome to this live edition of Connect with me on the showroom floor at Ventura TV on this Monday morning. It's on the air, off the presses. Hey, I think you can consider October KSEE 24 month right here on Connect with me. 3 weeks in a row, we got members from their staff right on this program. Today we're talking about local politics. Once again, you'll have to hear this, 436 Me TV option 11. Connect with me starts right now.
Tonight I want to discuss the importance of the television medium to the American people.
Back here on the program on a Monday morning. Glad you're here. Connect with me on the showroom floor at Ventura TV. And quite a weekend it was. Major League Baseball. Who are you rooting for? The Dodgers, they're up 2-0. What a game. A walk-off by Justin Turner last night. And then the Yankees are down 0-2. They play again tonight at Yankee Stadium against the Houston Astros. We'll see what happens there. But, man, what a fun-filled weekend it was. And certainly a fun-filled weekend following what's going on in local politics, both at the Fresno Unified School Board and then at City Hall recently. We'll talk to our guest about that today and take your phone calls at 436 Me TV option 11. For now, my friends, you're watching us live on Comcast channel 375. As usual, it's Comcast Cable. It's a call-in talk show. You can call in between 10 and 11 o'clock and offer your comments, ask a question to our guests. Pretty much make any kind of comment you'd like as long as you keep it short, my friends. It's only an hour show. If you don't have Comcast, it's 43.6 and 13.1 over-the-air broadcast. Later in the day, the replay comes up only over the air. It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 13.6 YouTube, 8 o'clock tonight. 4.6 Biz TV. After that, you can go to our Ventura Broadcasting webpage, venturabroadcasting.com, and then connect with Me webpage, and then go to the YouTube channel. You can catch all of our shows dating back about 5.5 years now, all the way back to 2012. Well, the political scene right here in the city of Fresno is filled with controversy, accusations, and certainly a lot of high drama. Brooke Ashton, chairman of the Fresno Unified School Board, of course, making news. He was supposed to be my guest on Friday. He didn't show, so we had members of the LBGTQ community here. We had 4 members. We were talking about that. The latest, though, involves Gary Bredefeld. He's a sitting city council member in District Number 6. Let's put up the picture of Gary Bredefeld, my friends. There he is. Last Thursday, he apologized for apparently causing an uproar of his own with comments he had made 2 weeks earlier. Some members of the black community are outraged, and the city clerk, Yvonne Spence, who is African American, filed a formal complaint against the council member. At the September 28th council meeting, Bredefeld took to the mic and went on a 9-minute rant railing against NFL players who took a knee during the national anthem, saying that he loves his country, he backs the police, then made what many are calling inflammatory comments about black-on-black crime and racism.
In Dallas, we had 5 police officers that were assassinated on the street. In Ferguson, Missouri, a police officer was falsely accused of killing someone with his hands up in the air saying, "Don't shoot." It was Michael Brown. It was a total lie. That officer lost his livelihood over a lie and false narrative. And in Baltimore, we had a district attorney standing on the steps calling for the guilty verdicts of 5 police officers in the Freddie Gray case, and all were found not guilty by juries. I disagree with all of this, and yet I stand for the flag and our national anthem each and every time. Now, these multi-million dollar athletes, I think, are protesting racism in this country. As far as racism goes, we fought a civil war to end slavery, and white men died to free black men. Jim Crow laws ended in the 1960s with the passage of the Civil Rights Act, and it was signed by a white president. This country elected its first black president, Barack Obama, with the support of white men and women, twice. We've had a black Secretary of State, Attorney General, Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, the first black U.S. Senator, Tim Scott. We've had black CEOs and leaders in all walks of life in our country, and we celebrate their achievements.
Live in our studio now is our friend Evan Onstot. He's a news anchor at KSEE 24. He's been here before, and the host of Sunday Morning Matters, a 1-hour political show that airs at 8 o'clock in the morning every Sunday, and now it airs every Sunday night after the Bulldog Insider. Last night was the first night, so hey, they're spreading it out, my friends. The program expanded from a half hour to an hour. He's here to talk about politics, local politics, and even touch on some national stuff too. You can call in at 436-ME-TV option 11. I spoke to both Gary Bredefeld and Oliver Baines early this morning before the show. So just a couple of comments during the course of this program. I will let you know. I'll kind of paraphrase what each of them said. What do you think about the latest controversy? Boy, it's Brooke Ashton. It's Council Member Gary Bredefeld just stirring the pot, I guess. Here we go. 436-ME-TV option 11. Back in just a moment.
When you like Ventura TV Appliance on Facebook, it's nice. But when you love the Whirlpool appliances we deliver, it's even better. Our website is cool, and it's a good place to start, but you really should touch the merchandise before you buy. Touch the new Whirlpool Ice Collection. It offers a modern style made to create an inspiring kitchen experience. Save big on this Whirlpool Black Ice or White Ice kitchen. Come into Ventura TV Appliance and touch the merchandise today.
When you're looking for KitchenAid innovation and quality, who has the answers, the selection, the price? Ventura TV Appliance. With billions in nationwide appliance buying power, more than Home Depot and Best Buy combined, we'll help you save. Our low prices on Energy Star qualified KitchenAid appliances save you energy and money, and pay no interest on select models when paid in full within 12 months. Ventura TV Appliance, serving you since 1951.
All right, congratulations are in order to Evan Onstot and his beautiful wife, Julie, right?
Yes, you got
Julie
it right.
Musgrave,
Yeah.
right? I got the name right.
You absolutely do.
All right, so you got two now,
We
right?
got two.
All right,
We got two. Hey, thanks so much. Yeah.
congratulations.
Gray, our son, just turned a month old yesterday. Gray Gordon Onstot. Yeah.
That's
That's his
great.
name. Gray
So,
Gordon.
I was looking for bags under the eyes. Are you
there's-
sleeping?
I am. I'm definitely waking up a lot earlier. For example, last night I get home from work about 1 a.m. I stayed there reading up on some different news stuff. And so I get home about 1:30. I'm awake by 7 because that's when my daughter Austin wakes up. And so, yeah, not too much sleep right now because Julie's up. She's, nursing at night and having to get up multiple times with Gray and stuff. But no, things are going good. The kids are healthy. Julie's healthy. Everybody's happy, exhausted, but happy. And everybody's adjusting well. So no, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
There's a time, let me just let you know, I mean, because my kids are teenage, there's a time when you're going to sleep again when they turn about, what, 3, 4, 5 or something like that. They'll sleep to the, and then you'll sleep for years until they become teenagers, and then you will lose sleep again.
Yes.
It'll seem all over again, like, where are they? What are they doing? What?
They're not sleeping for different reasons, and you wonder what those reasons are. Yeah, exactly. No, those days I'm not necessarily looking forward to, especially with the daughter. But no, I mean everything's fun, but it's true. My wife says everybody goes, "Oh, I love the newborn phase." She goes, "I hate the newborn phase. Everybody's tired, stressed out."
No,
She's just,
when you get to the teenage phase, you'll look back and say,
I know.
I miss that
Give me
phase."
the baby that just wants to eat all the time, and that's the biggest worry, right? No, but it's just, give it, like my daughter right now, 2 years old. She just turned 2 on Friday, actually. And so like that age, so much fun. She's talking, she's running around, everything's fun. She's not yet talking back too much, so it's a blast.
Before we get into the Gary Bredefeld thing, I want to ask you about Sunday Morning Matters, because I watch it religiously, almost to a T, but not quite every Sunday. But you expanded to an hour. Can you tell us why and how that's going?
Well, when I find that out, I'm gonna go beat him up because it's fantastic.
It's a better show as an hour.
Well, you know why? Because it can breathe. Because here's the thing: it was concise and left people wanting a little bit more, maybe when it was just a half hour.
Yeah.
But sometimes it felt too abrupt. So we'd have these interviews and I'd have to maybe end a question or two earlier than what I'd like. We'd have these panel discussions and I'd have to switch the topic before I was ready to really move on, or I'd have to cut them off and be like, hey guys, I'm sorry, that's literally all the time that we have. And so now what this allows us to do, we have 2 more longer form one-on-one interviews in which we can really let that breathe a little bit. Instead of 1 panel segment, now we have 2 panel segments with the same panel. We can cover more topics, or we can just cover the same amount of topics, but for a longer period of time. Because we get great guests in there, just like you do here, and it's good to let them expand and actually get their thoughts out without having to feel like a TikTok. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's why I like coming on here. There's room to breathe. You know, we can have a conversation, a discussion, and that's the kind of feeling that I want with Sunday Morning Matters.
Right, and now you've expanded to the point where you're being seen by a different audience. It's right after Bulldog Insider on Sunday nights.
Yes.
Sunday Night Football, then the news, then Bulldog Insider, and then Sunday Morning Matters. It sounds like I'm working at KSEE giving a promo.
Yeah, and then after Sunday Morning Matters, then it's another live newscast.
It's another live newscast.
It's all KSEE all the time. No, and so that was an interesting. I'm thrilled about this because Sunday Morning Matters airs at 8 a.m., you know, Sunday morning, as you know. And for a lot of people, it's just, you know, if that Sunday morning news talk, political talk show scene isn't part of their daily routine, then they're going to miss it. And so this allows that post-football audience on a Sunday night, and Sunday night's a great night for television, you know that. Ratings are always really good for that. Yeah. And so that's why during football season, I work Sundays through Thursdays, Stephanie and I, because they want us to be there, because the ratings have, the eyeballs on KSEE 24 News after the NFL game it's our biggest ratings that we'll have all year, to be honest. And so to be able to have Sunday Morning Matters turn into Sunday Evening Matters, more or less, and re-air, it's a great opportunity for us. So I'm really happy about that.
Right. It's amazing because I said this is KSEE 24 month here on Connect With Me, because this week it's you, next week it's Stephanie Perusian, the following week it's Alex Delgado, and so we're happy to have all of you from KSEE 24. It's great here. So I know that you, I had heard, I didn't see it though, you interviewed Oliver Baines, right, this past week.
Yeah, he came in on Thursday, and that was the same. So we record the show on Thursdays.
Oh, okay.
And so it was the same day as the council meeting, in which he had that very emotional, difficult for him speech, in which he wrote some stuff down, and he got stuff off his chest. He addressed Councilman Bredefeld directly, and so I was able to ask him about that right after. He was already coming on the program, though. We wanted to talk about that $70 million in Southwest and Fresno and Chinatown, how they just agreed. They just came up with a plan on that.
That's
the satellite campus for
cap and trade money, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so, you know, there's going to be a satellite campus in Southwest Fresno and all that's for FCC. And so I wanted to talk to him about that. But then this happens. I'm like, hey, man, we got to talk about that as well. And so he came on, and he was, you know, nice enough to talk about it and open up about it. And it's difficult. And I think it was difficult for him. I think it was difficult for Councilman Bredefeld as well.
Yeah.
And these two guys, I think they like each other. Most of the people on the council like each other.
I think they do.
They spend a lot of time together, so they better, right?
They spend a tremendous amount of time together, and but you have to wonder what this has done now. Is there a crack in the armor? I don't know.
In what way do you think?
I don't know. Just
they get
along
their cohesiveness.
So well. And, yeah, the cohesiveness. You know, Gary has been on the forefront of a lot of issues. You know, the God in God We Trust sign over the council chambers, and then he wanted all city employees be allowed to carry guns to work. Remember that?
Yeah.
What other issues?
Well, the marijuana. He was front and center on the marijuana dispensary ban.
So he's on the forefront of a lot of issues that seem controversial, and I'm not taking sides here one way or the other, obviously, but you just wonder, gee, is there going to be a crack now? Are they trying to work it out? I don't know.
And that was a question that we actually talked about on Sunday Morning Matters with the panel, because as I put it on the show, if there's a hot button for a hot button topic, Gary Bredefeld is the one running across the room to push that button and to get his side on the issue. Yeah. He wants to be the one leading the charge on whichever way he feels about the topic. Right. And that's what a lot of people love about Gary. You know what I mean? You know where he stands on everything. You know, you love him or hate him.
And everyone.
Exactly. But I asked the question, does this change him in any ways? Because he did have a bit of a step back, and he said, listen, kind of because the firestorm that he faced for his comments a couple weeks back made him step back and say, I got to be introspective here and think about the words that I'm using and the topics that I'm approaching, and think about the way in which I'm doing things. Does this change then the way that he approaches hot button topics in the future? I don't know. Because Gary Bredefeld is Gary Bredefeld, you know. I mean, he is the way he is, and that is probably one of the reasons why he's been able to be on the city council a couple times. He's a passionate person that believes in things strongly. Will he dive into race relations like he did a couple weeks back? I don't think we'll ever see that again. Right. That sort of topic again. Right. But you know, I don't know if this is necessarily going to like overhaul him, the politician, and how he thinks about things. I think we'll still see typical Bredefeld.
Right. And, you know, Bredefeld did apologize.
He did.
He did apologize. He said he, you know, and I'm paraphrasing. I'm not directly quoting. You can go to YouTube and find out the bit. But go ahead. I cut you off there.
No. I cut you off. I mean, the apology was one of those apologies where he's like, I apologize for hurting your feelings, even though I don't necessarily think I was wrong.
Yeah. Even though I don't agree with you.
It was one of those. Yeah. I didn't want to hurt feelings, and for that, I'm sorry.
Right.
But I still think that I'm pretty much right on this. And especially, I know he feels very, very certain on the anthem protest issue, which was what brought this whole thing up in the first place.
Exactly.
It was what he said after that, going into a larger talk about racism, Black America, families, crime.
Black crime, he talked about that. He talked about abortion. What else did he talk about? Help me out here. I forget. He ran the gamut, didn't he?
Well, we just heard, you know, you played a little bit of sound where he's like, and about racism, you know? I mean, like, it was white men who died to free the slaves, and, you know, whites just elected a Barack Obama, so how can there be race? These are these are things that if you are not really careful in how you contextualize them, and Councilman Bredefeld knows this now. He probably knew it ahead of time, but he really knows it now. You got to be really careful with how you lay those things out, because you know, these things are so heavily layered and they're so complicated and they're so nuanced that you can't just simplify topics of racism and not expect to get the type of blowback that he got.
Exactly. So go ahead.
No, I'm just saying that, so the apology for some might ring a bit hollow, but I think that he was sincere in the fact that I did not want to hurt anybody's feelings. Right. I'm not here to hurt people. I'm here to help and try to, you know, lead and build the right community and stuff like that. And it just didn't work out that way.
Right. I don't want to hurt people, but here's what I think.
Sure. but that's Councilman Bredefeld. And that's a lot of politicians these days. You know, you don't run for office because you see things in gray terms. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of politicians see things largely as black and white. Sure, they see issues as being complicated, but when it comes to an issue, they know how they feel about that issue, and they don't go back and forth. Us, because we've had to cover things so long and we've had to cover both sides. Me, I don't see anything in black and white anymore. Everything is gray. Right. Seriously. Right. Like I really, there's very few things that I see as black and white.
Well, you can't take sides, and I don't like taking sides here, even though this is a talk show, but you know, you have to walk a fine line. And would you agree, I got to go to break here, but would you agree that a lot of politicians, most politicians nowadays, with the exception of Donald Trump and a lot of people on the right, don't they go like this? Which way is the wind blowing?
Yeah. And don't you think?
Most of them.
And I think that Donald Trump does the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody that says that he's not a politician is fooling themselves.
Right. Caller, I need to go to break, and I'll put you on hold for a minute. Come right back, and we'll put you on the air after the television timeout. Evan Onstot is here from KSEE 24 talking about Gary Bredefeld, Oliver Baines, in the speech that Gary made about a couple of weeks ago on September the 28th during a city council meeting. Brought up race relations, the NFL players taking a knee during the national anthem, and all the rest. We'll talk about Brooke Ashton, too, during the course of the program, and some other local stuff. Back in just a moment.
The following is a list of celebrities you will not see on MeTV programs. Charlie Sheen, Lindsay Lohan, Snooki, Paris Hilton, Perez Hilton, Honey Boo Boo, Justin Bieber, Simon Cowell, Chris Brown, Miley Cyrus, and the Real Housewives of any place. This is who you will see on MeTV programs. Lucy, Ralph, Mary, Perry, Gilligan, Kenneth, Spock, Batman, Rowdy, Festus, and the Beaver. MeTV. Thanks for watching.
Frigidaire. It means the first electric refrigerator. The first compact electric range. Now, there's the Frigidaire Gallery Range with Symmetry double ovens. It's designed to cook multiple dishes at multiple temperatures, so you can prepare the entire meal at the same time. Frigidaire, over 90 years of legendary innovation.
See the full line of Frigidaire appliances at Ventura TV Electronics and Appliances.
Back here on our program, Evan Onstot, the one and only, does a great job over at KSEE 24, and should watch his Sunday Morning Matters show. Of course, watch him during the week with Stephanie Brugian as well. Hey, caller, you're on the air with Evan. Go ahead. What's your question, your comment?
I watched the thing with Bredefeld there. The whole entire thing is on YouTube, and Bredefeld's got to be the biggest idiot I've ever seen in my life. I spent 20 years in the military, and I mean, when it comes to the NFL players, I mean, they never said anything about the military or anything about the flag. All they want to do was protest, the blacks being misrepresented and mistreated in this country, and rightfully so. I mean, as a person in the military, I do not believe our flag stands for people being prejudiced against. I do not believe that our president and even members of our military believe that president should not have called them SOBs or said you should be fired. Because he never called those people in Charlottesville who were waving those Nazi flags and Confederate flags. He never told them that they were SOBs and that they should be fired from their jobs. So our president for us in the military, it's very conflicting for us. I think the people in the NFL are celebrating the best that our Constitution has to offer, and that is a freedom to peacefully protest when things are wrong in this country, and that gives us the opportunity to fix things in our country.
Okay. All right, caller.
So I think Bredefeld is just a big idiot. I think he's just got to be the biggest moron I've ever seen in my life.
All right. Okay, thank you, caller. Well, we're not going to get into name calling here, but you have people on both sides that have very strong convictions about this, and I hate it when somebody calls and you shouldn't name call. We're not into that here. But go ahead, Evan.
Well, I think again, there's two different things to look at. The caller right there. I think he is as mad with Bredefeld for his take on the anthem protest than what he said afterwards. But a lot of people feel exactly like Councilman Bredefeld when it comes to the anthem protests. And I know that perhaps people are looking at this from different ways and they're coming at it from different perspectives. A lot of people see the flag as the symbol of the military and the anthem as a military respect song. And other people see it as more of an overall, this is our country. So if we are protesting and taking a knee during that, then we are silently and peacefully protesting things that we see wrong with the country. And so it's interesting, Oliver Baines, when he was on the program on Thursday, he said, because Gary Bredefeld talked about athletes like Muhammad Ali and different
Jim Brown
and look at Martin Luther King. He's loved by white America and stuff, talking about racism. And Oliver Baines took exception to that because back then he said they weren't loved. They were like, for example, Muhammad Ali, and we've talked about Muhammad Ali on this program. He was vilified. He was seen as unpatriotic.
He was the enemy.
Yeah, he didn't want to go fight in the war, and he was unpatriotic. He was against the military, and so things have kind of come full circle. And so Oliver Baines was saying that he sees a lot of the same. He sees a lot in common between the reaction to today's anthem protests to the reaction of the civil rights protests of the 50s and 60s.
Right. All right. Got a caller here. Hang on, caller. I'll get to you in a moment. And I just before I get to you, I just want to point out, too, because we talked about this just a couple of weeks ago. No, maybe not a couple. It's been more than a couple. I think it's been about a month ago. We had some special guests in here talking about the national anthem protest. John Carlos Tommy Smith, 1968 Olympic Games in Mexico City, raising, actually, I think it was the left hand, Black Power, at protesting the injustices of African Americans in this country back then. And they were vilified. In fact, they both returned home to the Bay Area, and they had their lives threatened. I think both lost their jobs. They were very outspoken. And
now that's looked at as
a heroic
thing.
Yes.
Even though I think still to this day it is against the rules to protest at the Olympics.
Oh, it is.
On the podium.
So today it is.
I don't know what it was back then either. But
I don't know. I don't know. But they were certainly vilified, much like Muhammad Ali was. Of course, Right around the same time period, 1968. So, caller, go ahead. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Joe. And I just want to say that what the protesters are doing in the NFL is simply disrespecting our nation, the flag, the national anthem. And by taking a knee, they're not protecting a single minority in the streets from police brutality. They're doing nothing in the street. They protect no one, and all they do is disrespect our nation. And these broadcasts go to different countries. So what are the people in other countries saying about the state of our nation and the fact that these guys are doing nothing to help the people in the street, yet disrespecting our nation? And that's all I have to say, gentlemen. Great show. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You know, interesting thing that just happened, John. I'm a soccer fan. I pay attention to international soccer. I'm heartbroken about the U.S. not being in the World Cup next year. But this past weekend, the most interesting thing happened, and I was kind of shocked to see this. Hertha Berlin, it's a soccer team out of Berlin, they all took a knee during their anthem before the game.
They did.
And they said they did it to stand in solidarity with American athletes protesting racism in society. And the entire soccer team in Germany did this, and they said it was because of that. So obviously, is that the unanimous international reaction? No, of course not. But it's interesting. It is being watched around the globe.
And that's the whole point. The players are making their point.
Yeah. I mean, I can understand how it riles people up.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting thing, you know, because is it protecting a single person in the streets? Well, technically, no, not directly, although is that how protests work in the first place? I mean, a peaceful protest is not something that goes and actually, like, physically blocks something from happening, or you know what I mean? It's about raising awareness to an issue.
Can it make change happen? Martin Luther King helped change the world. I think Bobby Kennedy helped change the world. So are these protests going to change what is happening on the streets, like you say?
Well, there's certainly a conversation that has started because of it. Whether it's started for a good reason, whether this is appropriate, the anthem protests, all that's kind of to the side, but people are talking about
We're talking about it.
We are. But there's also, here's the question though. Are we talking about race issues? Are we talking about police brutality questions? Or are we talking just about anthem protests?
Yeah, see, that's
if they were doing it in a different way, if they were protesting in a different way, perhaps not playing in the game, for example.
Yeah.
If everybody sat out, didn't take a game check for a game and said, we're not going to play. Would that start a conversation? Would that be a bigger thing without maybe, because here's the thing, when you offend a bunch of people from doing this, because they don't see the issue, they see the protest itself, and they're offended by that.
Right.
I wonder if they went at it differently, if maybe they would have more in effect. I don't know. That's just another question.
Right. Maybe a bigger impact is what you're saying.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
All right, let's take another call here quickly before we go to break. Caller, you're on the air with Evan Onstot.
Hi. That first caller who said he had 20 years in the military and thinks the NFL players have the right to take a knee at when playing the national anthem, calling Bredfield an idiot. The only idiot was that caller himself. I mean, he has 20 years in the military. So what? Is he the reincarnation of General Patton? Does he not realize that blacks kill more Americans than ISIS does? So who does he think we're really under threat from? ISIS or other black citizens of this country?
Okay. Well, that's all right. Thank you, caller. I appreciate you calling in. So here's the thing. I mean, everybody has an opinion about this, and if you heard the soundbite in the monologue too, Evan, I mean, Gary Bredfield did bring that up, but the question is, you know, he did bring up the issue of black-on-black crime. He did bring up the issue of abortions, but I think the bigger question, if you look at this in a serious manner, is this the right forum to do that? You're at a city council meeting, and many of these issues that we're talking about, you know, Fresno does not have an NFL team. We have nothing to do with the National Football League. We got to drive either to LA or San Francisco to see NFL football,
or Vegas,
or
coming up pretty soon.
Vegas. So why is it relevant for anybody on the Fresno City Council to be talking about the NFL players taking a knee? So that's the bigger question. Is this the right forum?
I don't know.
I don't know either. I don't know the answer to that question.
I mean, because it is the #1 topic. Because you go on Facebook, and what's the thing that's trending up at the top? It's this issue. And so, you know, I mean, Gary Bredefeld he's a politician that tries to keep his finger on the pulse of things that are going on, you know, and so he probably tries to make his point that way.
I'm going to put this call on hold. Go to break. We're coming back more with Evan Onstot. See, you got to talk to your bosses. Sunday morning matters. You got to get phones. You've got to get callers in there. I mean,
that's dangerous. That thing is dangerous.
I know, but it's fun too. It's fun to listen to all the comments because everybody has a comment.
Yeah.
As long as they keep it clean and be respectful, that's what we ask. And for the most part, our callers and viewers are pretty good. 436-ME-TV, option 11. Back in just a moment.
When you like Ventura TV Appliance on Facebook, it's nice. But when you love the Frigidaire Gallery appliances we deliver, it's even better. Our website is cool, and it's a good place to start. But you really should touch the merchandise before you buy.
Time for that upgrade to an ENERGY STAR qualified French door Frigidaire Gallery refrigerator.
Quality appliances for the way you live. Get the best selection, price, and service in town without waiting. Come in to Ventura TV Appliance and touch the merchandise.
Ventura TV Appliance Center. We're the save energy, save time, save money place. The ENERGY STAR qualified #1 rated high efficiency Cabrio from Whirlpool Place. You heard right. Right now, save big on select Whirlpool Cabrio laundry pairs and pay no interest when paid in full within 6 months. At the hometown low price, think outside the big box place. Since 1951, Ventura TV Appliance Center. We're working hard to be your place.
I have an unabashed love of this country. This country is great. It provides free education for every child through high school. It provides free meals in schools. Grit and God-given talent and ability, the sky's the limit. And we see that with those multi-million-dollar athletes. They've achieved their God-given abilities. Every Sunday we see it. But I, too, have grievances with this country. I don't see everything as being perfect. I disagree with giving Iran $150 billion when they're a sponsor of terrorism and they hate our guts. I disagree with the weakening of criminal laws, Prop 47 and 57. I disagree with people being on death row spending 20 to 25 years when they've committed heinous acts and they never get the death penalty. I disagree with gender-neutral bathrooms. I disagree with the taking down of our statues and eradicating our history. I disagree with the legalization of drugs in our country. There's 1 million abortions in our country every year. I hate that. And when you talk about racism, in the United States, black children are aborted at 3 times the rate of white children. Hispanic children are aborted at 1.5 times the rate. Whatever the intentions of the abortion industry, it's a racist institution. And I don't understand why those athletes are not taking a knee for those children.
Back here on the program, of course, we'll turn that sound down just real quick there. Thank you very much. And, you know, so Gary Bredefeld, that was the initial statement talking about his grievances with the country and certainly not happy with NFL players taking a knee. And before I get to the caller here, I do want to put up Gary Bredefeld's picture here because I did talk to him earlier this morning. And I will get to the comments of Oliver Baines, too. I spoke to him. But that is Gary Bredefeld. Now, if Gary's watching, I just want you to know I'm paraphrasing what Gary Bredefeld said. This isn't quote for quote or word for word, but I spoke to him this morning, and he basically said, look, I'm a veteran, and I've worked for the VA for 26 years, and I help veterans with PTSD and other illnesses, and I have for so many years. I was a Navy veteran for 3 years. I think when the players take a knee, they disgrace veterans and they disgrace the flag. Issues that we face in our own city, our own society, our own country is the reason that he brought to the forefront those issues that we talked about earlier in the program, talking about racism, black-on-black crime, abortion. He basically said that he had some requests and talked to people, his constituents within the district, District Number 6. I have a tremendous amount of respect, he says, for Oliver Baines, and we continue to have a dialogue, continue to try to work things out. Why bring it up? I asked him this morning. He said because it's part of the council members' reports. He checked and spoke to his constituents, and it is in a public forum that he made the comments, and therefore he thought it was the appropriate time, place and the comments. Evan?
I mean, that makes a lot of sense. You know, I mean, people say, well, it's not a city issue. Why are you talking about it on city time and a city venue? But like I said, it is something that people in his district and in other districts are talking about, are possibly concerned about. And so that's why he felt compelled to speak up. You know, and maybe he took it a step farther than in retrospect that he would do it, do so in the future if had the chance to do it again. But yeah, no, I mean, he's a passionate guy. I like Gary. I'm in really good relationships with pretty much with everybody on the city council. That's one of the nice things. These are nice people. People always say, "Oh, politicians and all this stuff. How do you do it? How do you interview all these?" I'm like, these are normal people, from congressmen to senators to local council members. These are normal people. And everybody's, you don't get a bunch of people to vote for you if you're a jerk. You know what I mean? I mean, it's a popularity contest.
Somebody had to like him. Somebody put him in the office.
It's a popularity contest is our elections. And so, he's not a bad guy. None of these people are bad people.
When you interview politicians on your show or any show on KSEE 24, what's your mindset? What's your approach? I know you want to be fair and balanced. Obviously, I do too. And I want to give everybody a chance to give their piece here on this program. What's your approach?
I try to ask tough questions without being a jerk.
Okay.
That's what I try to do. I try to take, the opposite side on a lot of issues. If you watch my interviews, I'm always friendly. Maybe some people would say I'm too friendly to the people I interview on both sides, but I always try to take the contrarian view and asking things, saying, hey, listen, this is what people are saying about this.
Right.
So how do you explain this? Or what's your reaction to this? What's your take on this? This is a challenge to to this position that you have. Why is your position correct? And so I try to ask those questions in that way. But I'm not out there to get people. I'm not out there to lay traps and stuff like that. And I actually had an elected just yesterday accuse me of trying to being a gotcha journalist and saying you thought you had me on something, you used it, when really it just sometimes things happen and that I can always do a better job. But I'm never out to. I don't have any skin in the game, and so I'm just trying to ask honest questions that are going to benefit people that are watching. I want to make it interesting and informative, and as balanced as possible.
And you're an honest journalist. You have no agenda one way or the other. You're just trying to get to the truth. Basically,
sure.
Like any journalist.
It's
like any journalist.
This is the thing too. We've talked about fake news a bunch on this program, John. And the thing that I say whenever people say, like, "Oh, it's this conspiracy," all these news programs and all these journalists are, it's all this stuff. They're all working. To be honest, what I would say is we don't have the time, nor do we even care that much. Not that we don't care about the issues that we're reporting on. But journalists right now are so overworked, underpaid, the vast majority, and overwhelmed
with too much information.
Well, there's too much stuff that we have to do nowadays. The vast majority of journalists, they're simply just trying to make deadline.
Just to research, just to prep for any show or deadline for the paper. It's impossible.
No, it is. And so any sort of, like, for example, with this elected official who said, listen, you thought you had me, you thought there was a gotcha moment. And I said, honestly, I could have taken things another step and asked an extra question that would have gotten me more information that would have laid it out in a better way.
Yeah.
And so, and that's the truth. It's a lack of time and opportunity. There's no conspiracy. Yeah. There's no great plan on behalf of journalists to bring down people. It's just we're doing the best we can with the time and resources that we have.
Exactly right. I couldn't have said it better myself, and I totally agree with you 100%, because I know what it takes to prep this show and to prep your show on Sunday Morning Matters, plus do the news with Stephanie.
Yeah.
It takes up all of your time. Who has time to play gotcha TV or have an agenda against someone? There's no time for that.
We don't care that much. You know what I mean?
I really don't. I try to have a life.
We're just trying to do our jobs.
Exactly.
is the thing. And so I know that's a whole separate tangent, but it does come down to this issue in which people think that, that there's these different, things going on, these mechanisms.
There isn't.
We're not that sophisticated.
No, I'm not that smart.
Yeah.
Okay. Caller, you've been patient. I appreciate it. Go ahead. What's your question, your comment?
Evan, let me ask you a question real quick. I like the answers you gave, especially when there's a lot of jerks on air and you get one of maybe 50 calls or whatever. But, you know, I didn't agree with all this kneeling, and especially like John said and yourself, we disrespect the service people, the, you know, armed forces that have given their lives for us to protest and for us to be who we are and all the freedom we get. Yet they do some, you know, dumb things, and they think it's okay, you know, and that hurts me because I was in the armed forces, so I wouldn't know. But I have relatives that come from there, and they have mental issues. But when they hear about the flag being disrespected, that they want to go out and beat somebody up because they go, you know what, we fought for them to get their freedom of speech and whatnot. And I think that we as Americans, whether it be any kind of nationality, I mean, you know, race, whatever, and then they come out with this racist thing. Yeah. Now, that's been going on for 100 years. So we have to just go, hey, it's not a racist thing. I mean, we have freedom to do our protests and all that. And like you said, the media has the deadline. So, you know, I really
Thank you. I appreciate it very much for your comment. Yeah.
I think, again, it just comes down, people look at these protests in two different ways. And he ended up saying a lot there towards the end. But, I mean, just the first part is that he says they need to realize that people are offended by these protests. And I think that maybe that is a point. There's two different ways to look at it. Oliver Baines told me, listen, protests are not supposed to be comfortable. They're not supposed to make people warm and fuzzy. In some ways, they're supposed to make people mad. When protesters block off streets, when they block traffic, they're doing it because they want you to get out of your routine and look at it and go, hey, what's going on? What's your problem? And then they say, well, this is our problem. And a lot of people don't want to hear the problem, but that's the point of the protest. So that's the one way to look at it. But at the same time, perhaps also you have to ask the question in the way, listen, if these people are, if we can ask Gary Bredefeld, listen, you are upsetting people by taking these stances, then isn't it fair to ask the same questions of athletes who are kneeling during the anthem and saying, hey, you are upsetting people by taking these stances. But by your method and by the thing. I'm not saying that they're equivalent, but I'm saying that the question can at least be asked. That we all need to consider our messaging, how people are feeling about things, and if the athletes consider that hey, we are offending people, but say the message is more important than that the point is offending people in order to get our point across, then so be it. But I think people need to look and try to see things from the perspective of other people. Try to see things through the perspective of these athletes. And if you're somebody who agrees with the athletes, try to see things in the perspective of people who are offended by these anthem protests. It would go a long way to help things out.
Before I go to break, I'm going to see if you agree with me, and our director, Carrie, agrees with me on this. I mean, it is, okay, the way I look at it is, because I go back to 1968 when I was watching the Olympics, and I saw John Carlos and Tommy Smith raise the black fist in the air with the black glove. It was shock and awe. And I would imagine, I was going through my, so I'm thinking, okay, here's what's going through their mind. No one is listening to us. No one is paying attention. We have issues on the table, and nobody is talking about them. Nobody wants to clear these up. Hang on, caller. So I have to use shock and awe to get people's attention about the issues that I'm upset about. Would you agree with that? To a certain extent, it's shock and awe.
Well,
here's my shock and awe right here, my fist in the air.
I mean, without taking sides on anything, that's the point, right? I mean, that's the point of the protest. If you don't do something,
it's a non-violent way of getting your point across. I have something to say. I want to shock and awe you with this.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, the point of a peaceful protest is getting people's attention.
Right.
While it's not peaceful and not disruptive. It's not peaceful and not offensive. It's peaceful protest, and that takes many forms.
Right. Would you agree with that, Kerry? Don't know. Okay. All right. Just want to get a random opinion here in the studio. Anyway, 436 Mean TV option 11 got a call waiting on the other side of the break. Back in just a moment.
Not sure what you're watching? Want to see what's coming up next? Or just want to browse what's on without the hassle of flipping channels? Your wish has come true. Now you can view schedules for all the digital TV channels available in the Central Valley. Get local weather updates and forecasts, and listen to nationally syndicated Biz Talk Radio, all on KVHF 4.1. Rescan your TV now, then tune in to Digital Channel 4.1 to start enjoying the all-new TV Guide.
So what should these multi-million-dollar athletes really be protesting and fighting to change? Well, I think crime, drugs, gangs, and a culture of victimization. Stop promoting the belief that if you're black, brown, or any person of color, if you're poor or any minority class, that you're an inherent victim in our society. Every person, regardless of color, gender, socioeconomic status, is equal under the law in this country and in the United States, and they can achieve success and realize the full potential of their God-given abilities. That is why people from all over the world want to come here. I suggest they promote hope and aspiration, not hate and victimization. They should also be encouraging respect for authority and police. If you're pulled over by the police, do what's requested. Be respectful. The interaction will end well for everyone, I can assure you.
All right, Gary Bredefeld, that was on September the 28th. He offered up his opinions on many topics, including the NFL protest taking a knee for the flag. He also talked about racism, police brutality. He talked about other things like black-on-black crime. Now, I spoke to Oliver Baines this morning, and the two have obviously gotten together and talked about this. They're going to try to work their differences out. They're still on speaking terms. But Oliver Baines basically told me this morning that he thinks it was the wrong time, the wrong place, not the right forum to bring these social issues up because it had nothing to do with the city council agenda that specifically pertains to the city of Fresno. Issues that we're dealing with here. We're not dealing with the National Football League in the city, so it was inappropriate in his eyes to bring that issue up and some of these other social issues. I want to run the rebuttal and the comments from Oliver Baines addressing the city council this past Thursday. Now, keep in mind, don't be offended out there, folks, but Oliver Baines, keep in mind, he's African American, right? Okay, he does use a racial slur, but not in a negative way. I want you to listen to his comments directed toward Gary Bredefeld, his counterpart here on the city council in Fresno.
Let me just say they were painful. So it was very difficult to think of a person that I work with to have these ideas about people of color. It was extremely damaging and painful. And so that's where a lot of my emotion comes from. George Hamill in March of 1862 said, I want to see the day when a Negro is put, I never want to see the day when a Negro is put on equality with a white person. There is too many free niggers now to suit me, let alone having 4 millions. And what about Oliver Baines? Me. You know, I can tell you about the things that police officers did to me when I was a young man, not that long ago. It's happened to me personally. So when you stand up and you just say that all that has to happen is people need to just listen to the police as if that makes it okay. It's bigger than that. It's deeper than that, Gary. And I can tell you there are a lot of people out here that have had the very same experiences that I have. While I was very pained by your comments, I also do realize there's an opportunity. Should you choose to take it? And should I choose to take it? This is the most difficult discussion of our time, and it has been, it is the most difficult discussion of this country's time, and it has been historically. If you just pause for a moment and try to understand this country through our eyes, it may make you feel a little differently. And actually take some of this stuff into context.
Oliver Baines this past Thursday at the City Council meeting offering up a very emotional speech. Now keep in mind, he's been pulled over by police in his life. He's also had a gun pulled on him prior to being a... Now remember, he spent 12 years as a Fresno police officer.
He was a
as
police
well.
officer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gary's been pulled over. I don't know if he's ever had a gun pulled on him. I've been pulled over, but I've never had anybody pull a gun on me. So we can't exactly walk in Oliver Baines' shoes.
No, and that's the point. And that's why I get a little... it's why I get a little impatient when people try to simplify issues of race and racism as be like, hey, listen, well, we did this, and you know, the law is set up. You know, they are equal under the law. When you dismiss decades and centuries of policies from everything as big as slavery to as direct and minute as housing policies, and in just recent decades, things have been set up to make it more difficult for African Americans. And so when people start saying, like we had a caller earlier say, well, blacks kill more people than ISIS. Well, car accidents kill more people than ISIS. The flu kills more people than ISIS. A lot of things kill more people than ISIS in America. And if you're going to start talking about the blacks as some violent group, you have to understand that it's not race. Sometimes it's socioeconomic status that leads to crime statistics. But it's poverty. It's poverty. And that poverty is come from years, decades, and centuries of a system
oppression
that is set up to make things... Is America a place where dreams can come true and anybody can become anything? Yes. Right. But it's harder for certain people in this country.
Right.
And I'm not taking sides on the issue of who's right and who's wrong. I'm just saying that we need to understand that these issues are complicated, and to simplify things like that is really dangerous and probably false. And I think that's what Oliver Baines was most upset about. It's like you can't just say, you can't just throw these statistics out there and say, well, this is the problem. It's deep, it's complicated.
It certainly has touched off a political firestorm, and I urge you to go to cvobserver.com and read George Hostetter's column. I know you probably did.
I honestly have not. Sorry, George.
See, we haven't had time.
I haven't.
I barely had time to read it. George is an outstanding journalist.
He's fantastic.
He's going to come back on this program and talk about it. But Yvonne Spence made an official complaint. She is the Fresno City Clerk. She walked out of Bredefeld's speech, I might add. But George brings up a lot of questions here. During the course of the article, which I don't have time to get into. This is only an hour program. But he brings up, okay, I'll just read one question. Does the executive branch, through its authority over the workplace environment, have the power to issue binding regulations on the speech of members of the legislative branch while they're performing their official charter-mandated duties from the city council chamber diocese? That's just one of many questions that George brings up in the article. You got to go to cvobserver.com. I have it right here. I tried to read it last night. I did get through it. And caller, you're on the air with Evan Onstot. Keep it clean and try to be fair, my friend. Try to be fair. Go ahead.
I think he did actually violate that rule that you just read, because what he was doing there was not stating anything that was of city work, of city matter that mattered to the city. Any of that. What he was doing was giving an opinion, and he was using the council's days to do that. And obviously it offended a whole bunch of people. So I do believe he did violate that part of the city charter. I mean, I think Jackie Robinson said it best when he retired, and he said, "I will never stand or say the national anthem ever again, because I grew up in a white man's world."
Okay.
I think
all right. Well, let's end it right there. Thank you, caller. Thank you very much. I did not know that. Did you? I didn't know he said that.
I did not know that either.
Yeah. Hey, let me ask you about a couple of other things. Okay, speaking of firestorms, Brooke Ashton was supposed to be here. I know you've interviewed him on your program. He bailed out on me Thursday night, so I called members of the LGBTQ community, and they came in here and talked and gave their side of the story. And Brooke, if you're watching, I know you watch this program, you're more than welcome to come on. I don't ban anybody from this show, so every opinion is welcome here. So now you got somebody on the council that's stirring it up, and you got Brooke Ashton that stirred it up a couple of months ago. Is this just the norm now here in Fresno? What's going on? What's going on, Evan?
Well, it seems like drama is the norm when it comes to the Fresno Unified School Board and all their issues.
Hang on, caller.
Because it's not just what's going on with Brooke Ashton, the board president. Yeah. We also have the teachers' strike that is potentially looming here. And so we got that. We have what he said in the Fresno Bee about sex ed and where it can and it's
swaying one way or the other.
Yeah, the LGBT and
all right.
And so he's a controversial figure, and we'll see. I talked to Brooke on the phone, and he goes, "I'm resilient." And he's one of those love me or hate me guys, and he loves it that way also.
Yeah, he's a lot like Brunfeld, isn't he?
Well, he is.
In a way.
They're different, but yeah, in a way, where they stand.
Yeah.
They put themselves out there. They're direct with their voice, with their talking. They see things in black and white. And so I totally understand. And I mean black and white as in viewpoints. We've been talking a lot about race. I don't want to, not black and white that way. It's interesting, though. And he told me on the phone, he goes, my wife always tells me, if I wasn't this way, though, I wouldn't be where I am, and I wouldn't be in this. He's a successful businessman, and and he's president of the school board.
All right, quickly, another topic here, real quick, before we run out of time. How much time here, Kerry? 2 minutes. Hey, good. Fulton Street opening up on the 21st.
This weekend, right?
On the 21st.
Yeah, this weekend.
This coming weekend.
Yeah.
What do you make of that?
I think it's exciting for Fresno. I think most people agree that something had to change down there on the Fulton Mall.
We're running Channel 30's video.
John, you bring me on. Thank you for covering that logo up with yours.
But that's the only video
we
could find on the internet of the streets halfway open. Look at that. There's a.
Well, you know what? We have that video too, John.
But it's not on YouTube.
I thought this was KSEE 24 month. You were saying. I'm going to tell Stephanie may not be here next week.
I know you're offended.
Stephanie takes that personally. Well, I would say, people generally agree that something had to change on the Fulton Mall.
Yeah.
It just wasn't working the way it was. Not everybody agrees that a street should go in, but something had to change, and I think people, the fountains look beautiful and all that. We talked about it, those fountains and the art, it was $5 million. It was a quarter of the budget. And so,
I know.
I'm glad that they look good because they certainly spent a lot of money on that stuff.
I know.
I'm excited about it,
Hey, at least we didn't show Channel 30's reporter during that. Listen, we got how much time, Kerry? Sorry, Evan. 1 minute. Hey, I'm going to give you 10 seconds, caller. 10 seconds, and then we got to go. 10 seconds, quickly.
That flag means sacrifice from the people before us, and for people not to stand to that flag and respect it.
Okay.
They really shouldn't be allowed to place for it. They should actually be able to buy their commercial time and put their opinions over the air. They got all the money.
Thank you. We're going to have to end it on that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying.
Seconds.
It's that opinion and the other opinions, they're both valid, and I totally see where both sides are coming from.
Okay. You're not offended by that. You're going to come back, right?
I don't know, John. Yeah, of course. I'll come back, John. Good seeing you, man. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're a good man. I appreciate it. Tell your wife, Julie, we said hello, and good luck with those 2 kids.
Thanks very much, John.
All right. You're very blessed.
I am.
I know you know that.
I
anyway, and we're blessed to have you here with us today, too. All right. Evan Onstot, KSEE 24, watching Monday through Friday with Stephanie. And, well, actually, Monday through Thursday, then over the weekends, right?
Sundays.
After
football.
All right.
Sunday.
See you back here tomorrow with another edition of Connect with Me. Have a good day.